Sorry. Is everybody with me there? That is going to be the statistic. Why? Because it came from a sample. Beautiful. So can I really answer this question directly with the way that we approach this? No, I can't. I can answer it indirectly. I'm going to feel pretty good. If I got a good random sample, I'm going to feel pretty good that my answer is going to be close to the true answer for all Grossmont students. Later this semester, we'll actually determine what that word close means. Close is very vague. It's very arbitrary, sort of subjective. Right? We're going to objectify that sucker. So what is 81 divided by 390?
20.7%.
Okay. Roughly 20.7.
Actually, rounded 20.8.
Ah, okay. Crowdsourced work. I like it. I like it. I like it. So see how this all flows. There's the terminology that represents all the steps of something we're doing statistical analysis. I like it. All right. I do have a little worksheet that I'm going to let you guys work on here as soon as I get enough of this chapter 1 stuff spewed at you. Just bear with me. Stay with me. Okay. Let's do a deeper dive into data. Data. Let me make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, good. I like it. There's two main types of data. There's quantitative and there's qualitative. What's the root word of quantitative? Quantity. I love it. So what should be its defining quality? It's truly numerical. Right, so that means you can do stuff with it. So like jersey number on some football player, would that be truly numerical?
No.
I'm wearing 72, you're wearing 70. I'm two better than you. Right? No. One time I had 3 women's basketball players, and I said, if you add yours to yours, what do you get? And they're like, we get her. It was 10 and 8. She was 18. I'm like, oh, shit. It was just hard. But that's just like another name for you, right? You're running down the sideline, there goes number 17. That's your name. Because I forgot what it was right now, but I can see 17. I know that's number 17. So that would be qualitative. Quantitative is truly numerical data. So what definitely always goes in here is some kind of measurements. Because I can compare measurements by subtraction, and so I can do truly numerical analysis on measurements. But ranking might not be so. So we're not going to get too deep into this yet. So quantitative, quantity, truly numerical. Qualitative, the root word is quality. This is categorical data. Oh my God. Names, basically. So the jersey number would go here, because that's the person's name. So the security number would go here. Zip code would go here, right? But amount of money your company made would go there. The temperature today would go there. You guys with me? So that breakdown is pretty straightforward for the most part, hopefully. And us math people, we can never leave that alone. And we're going to break it down even 4 more levels. Oh, shit. All right. So there's 4 levels. Yeah. Measurement. 2 of them are going to be quantitative, and 2 of them are going to be qualitative.
Sorry, just one question. You said for qualitative, you said temperature could be example?
No.
Oh.
Temperature would definitely be quantitative.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it. Here we go. Yes? Oh, the green. Okay, I got you. I'll stop at the green. Poor little green dude. Yeah, I'm not beholden to the green, don't worry. So let me put the first two down here. Yeah. Nominal and ordinal. These are the two that are qualitative, basically. Anybody ever heard the phrase plume de nom? Anybody?
I've heard of it. I don't know what it means, but I've heard it.
Does anybody know the name, the author, Richard Bachman? Who is that really?
It's not
Stephen King. So when Stephen King started writing, he used a pen name, a plume de nom. He called himself Richard Bachman because he thought that would sound more, look at me writing, I'm Richard Bachman. And of course now it's like Stephen King is holy shit. But sorry, if you don't like Stephen King too bad. So nominal is name data. Don't think that's num for number. No, it's nom. Plume de nom, name. So this is strictly just names. So for example, how's the red come out here? Is the red good? Is that all right? Okay. I can handle it if it's not. Don't worry. Hair color, type of car, jersey number.
How is hair color name?
Yeah, give a name to the color.
Got it.
Right? Before we came up with names, we're like, yours is darker than mine. You know, and then we had to give a name so we can reference it quickly. I like it. And then we got bald, and we got purple, depending on, you know, whatever. Now, what's this ordinal? What does it feel like the root word of ordinal is? Order. So these are names that also have an inherent order to them. Right? So this is a little bit weird. One example would be if you go to a restaurant. I haven't seen this in a long time, but they used to have these little cards at the table where you'd rank them. And it said something like, so if I had a little card at a table and it said, I'm not going to do a card yet. It said, rate us, are we fair, good, poor, or excellent? Does that strike anybody as wrong? There's something wrong with that?
First off, it seems to be
It's out of freaking order, right? It's like they're trying to trick us or something. It should go poor, fair, good, excellent. They've changed the order around to try to mess us up. Have you guys done like faculty evaluations where you have to bubble in?
Yeah.
Circles and like strongly disagree to strongly agree? What if they would have put those out of order at the top? Wouldn't you have been like, what are you trying to do? They put like strongly agree, second or something, just so they can get the better. You guys kind of with me a little bit?
Yeah.
That's the idea of there's an order for them to be in to make optimal sense. Do I have to put hair colors? If I start saying, let's see the hair colors in here, brown, bald, blonde, somebody have red hair? Red, there you go. Pointed back there. All right, you guys, would that be weird for me to say it like that? Would anybody go, what are you doing? Alphabetical order, so it doesn't make any sense. That's stupid, right? If I start naming off car names in the parking lot, you're not going to say, what are you, put them in alphabetical order. Or put them in order of what I like. There's no order that they have to be in to make sense. This, they have to be in an order to make most sense.
So, for instance, you notice in many places when they try to sell you drinks, they're like, oh, what do you like, large, small, or medium? And like most of us like typically go with medium, but like they say that to the end and like offer like either go big or go home, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
Or even some gas stations put their 87 in a different place or something. And they're like, to me, I'm always like, you assholes. They're trying to get me to, huh? Exactly. Yeah. So you know why they're doing it. I'm like, all right, you tricked me once. I ain't never coming back to this place. But, right? But they can trick people until they get, make money. All right, good. I like it. So there are certain things that do name things, but there's an order they need to be in to make the most sense. All right. The next two are going to be quantitative. So let me put these down here. When I say interval, can somebody tell me the first thing that comes to your mind with the word interval? Range, okay, I like it. Does anybody remember interval notation from algebra? You like,
It's reminding.
I wiped it out, dude. Took that final, I'm done. All right. Interval is like a range, I love it. So what should happen then for an interval is I should be able to tell how big it is. I should be able to subtract. So if I was like, okay, you gotta be 30 to 50 to ride this ride or something, it's really strange. There's a 20-year range of ages. You with me? A little bit? So for interval, and again, remember, these are quantitative now. They are truly numerical. So interval would say they are numbers where subtraction makes sense. So it's theta where subtraction makes sense. Oh, and this is where that happened. I remember now. I subtracted jersey numbers, and I'm like, does that mean anything? It was the one girl's jersey. I'm like, shit. But if I subtract 2 zip codes, can you subtract 2 zip codes? Yes. All day long. Does the answer mean something? No, don't mean shit. Right? That's why it's not interval. It's only nominal. There's names of areas. Right? You can subtract 2 zip codes, you can subtract 2 phone numbers, yeah.
Could zip codes, like based off of like ranges of like area, could that be an example of like an ordinal? Like if it's based off from one area to the other?
Not really, because they don't necessarily have to be in a certain order to make sense. You could argue
like
that
there's like different regions, like in California, for example.
totally,
where
yeah.
There will be, I don't know, other zip
I'm
codes
with
other
you.
than
I'm
like
with
San
you.
Diego, but like
You could argue that they do seem to be possibly ordinal, but they don't have to be in order to make
Got
sense.
you.
They really don't. So on a
location. Like, because you could pinpoint the location, so like you could be in any order.
yeah, I could if I started listing off some zip codes of places I'd like to live,
Right.
you're not going to go, wait, why are they not in order? Yeah.
Couldn't address numbers be able to be like
That would be
in, like a neighborhood
ordinal,
specific,
right?
ordinal?
Yeah, and that's why you get, like, I lived in a something and a half place once, because they didn't leave enough room for when they built a thing in the middle. They're like, well, it's got to be something and a half. Have you guys ever lived in 3728 and a half, 4th Avenue? That was close to where I lived. All right, yes?
For this one, could you do temperature?
All right, I love it. All right. So does everybody understand the make sense part of this is huge? Not just can you subtract the two things, but does the answer mean something? Does it make sense? Right? So temperature could be, well, we got to talk about this next guy, and then we'll see, right? We'll compare. What does that word ratio mean to you? What operation does that imply? Division, right? So this would be where division makes sense. There's a second thing for this guy, thank God. 0 means what it should. And if any of you thought about it long enough, you'd realize that 0 meaning what it should leads to division making sense. So in temperature scale, if it was 0 degrees, I know we live in Southern California, so it's not going to happen, but you go north, right? You could possibly get out in the desert. It could be 0 degrees at night. Does that mean, so what should 0 mean?
No movement.
Okay, I don't know if you're talking about the physics of temperatures and measure kinetic energy. I love it, but if I went out fishing and I put down on the paper how many fish you catch and put 0, does that mean what it's supposed to mean? Yes, no fish. What does temperature measure? beautiful. But let's take it away from that. Let's say the amount of heat, right? So does 0 mean the absence of heat? No, it doesn't, right? You guys with me? I know we live in Southern California, like, I've never seen single digits, let alone 20-something that exists. But you can go below 0, you can lose more heat, right? 0 is just somewhere we picked because it relates to where water freezes, right? And that's for Celsius, sorry. For Fahrenheit, of course, what's the 32? Most of the world uses stuff based on 10, because most of the world is in America. We're a little bit, yeah, yes. Oh, Kelvin, we're not going to go there. Kelvin, anybody else know Kelvin? Anybody ever heard of absolute 0? So I was doing, I actually have a master's in math and physics, just to show off for me. My research on the East Coast was cooling rubidium atoms down to almost absolute 0. Because then they kind of like overlap each other. And I was going towards making a maser, which is a matter laser, which is insane. Anyway, sorry. Stay with me. Absolute 0 means the absence of all heat, and actually the absence of all kinetic energy, the absence of all energy. If it gets absolute 0, you're dead. Everybody's dead. You're dead. We're all dead. Everything's dead. Right? Weird things happen when you get really close to absolute 0. I'm sure you guys have seen where the little magnet's floating over something else, and it's been cooled down and so forth. You get all kinds of neat things happening. All right, sorry. So if you don't know Kelvin, don't freak out. This is the last time it's going to come up. Okay, but it's the one temperature scale where 0 means what it's supposed to, the absence of what it's measuring. So if 0 means the absence of what it's measuring, then it's ratio data. I like it. What would be like twice as hot as a 60-degree day? Not a 120-degree day, right? Like 80 would be, maybe, somebody would say 80 degrees would be twice as hot as 60. Can you guys see that? You might not agree with it, but can you see somebody saying that? No? Would it have to be 120 to be twice as hot as when it was 60? Oh, hell no, right? You with me? So division doesn't really make sense then, because 0 is not in the right place for our temperature scale. I like it.
I think I answered my own question.
Oh,
yeah,
beautiful. I love it. That always makes my job a little easier. Oh, you guys are loving this shit. So if I give you, a problem and I say, what level is this thing? The very first thing you do is it numerical or not? Because then you can cut 2 of them out, right? So if I said, Frank gave the restaurant a good rating. All right, well, that's not a number. That's one of these guys. And which one would that be? Ordinal. I love it.
Where would, like, if there was a question about, like, age group or something?
I love it. Okay, so let's do this. Ready? I'm with you. Temperature definitely goes here, because we're not going to talk about Kelvin, all right? Temperature would go here because 0 doesn't mean what it's supposed to. But I can certainly say yesterday was 4 degrees cooler, if it was, right? You guys with me? So that would be subtraction, right? If it's 83 today and it was 79 yesterday, that's 4 degrees cooler yesterday. Subtract. I like it. Year of birth. Year of birth. I was born in 1972. What? Somebody else want to tell me what year they were born? Anybody?
1998.
1998. So if I subtract those two, does the answer make sense? 1998 minus 1972.
Yeah.
That would be what? How much older I am? How much longer I've been roaming the earth, right? You guys with me? So 26 would mean the amount of time I've been on earth longer, right? If I divide those two numbers, does the answer mean anything?
Yes.
No, definitely not. No. What would it mean?
How much, like how many times older you are?
No, if I divide the years.
Oh,
not
year, not age.
So there's going to be a difference. Years goes one place, age goes somewhere else. So if I divide the years, 1998 divided by 1972, you're going to have 1 point something. It doesn't mean shit. You guys semi with me? But subtraction definitely means something. How much older am I? Right? I like it. I like that sound. Favorite sound. Right. Okay, maybe. Ratio is like age. Age is ratio, right? Because if she's, let me see, how old are you? 21, and somebody else is 42, 42 divided by 21 is 2. What does that physically mean? That person is twice as old. I like it, right? Do you guys start to see? And what would 0 mean if the variable was age? What would 0 mean?
No difference in age, right?
No.
Oh, wait, like.
What would 0 mean if the question was, what's your age?
You're 0 years old.
You ain't been born yet, right? You ain't out in the world yet. You with me?
Yes.
Maybe you're in here somewhere, but you're not out. I like it. You haven't started to accumulate age yet. It's the absence of time on the earth. Are you with me? So your age is the time you've been on the earth, not in mama, but out on the earth. You guys with me? I'm not going to get into it. Good Lord. I think you guys are maybe with me. So do you see? I want you to really see this. Age division makes sense. Somebody can be twice as old, 3 times as old, right? Half as old, whatever. And 0 means what it's supposed to mean. The absence of the thing, age, the absence of what I'm measuring.
Makes me kind of wonder, like, what else works for interval, sort of.
Okay.
I mean, because we've only talked about age. And kind of
So years, year of birth, year of establishment, temperature scales. What else would go for interval? The reason temperature is a measurement that's only interval is because 0 is not where it's supposed to be. But what about, where would profit of a company go?
Ratio.
Why?
Because 0 means something.
Yeah, 0 would mean
Yeah, we could.
no profit, which recently has been a good place, to be honest, because you can also go negative. So be careful. Going negative doesn't really mean anything by itself, right? I can go negative temperature, but why is temperature not ratio? Because 0 is in the wrong place. 0 profit means I've got no money at the end, right? I'm broke even, which again, sometimes is good. Yes?
So, doesn't that mean that like all ratio data is always interval?
Kick so much ass. Every ratio thing is also interval. Can it subtract 2 ages? Yes. Every interval thing is also ordinal. Shouldn't they be in order if I'm giving somebody an option? What year were you born? 1980, 1997, 1943. I'm like, what are you people doing? You guys with me? There's an order they're supposed to be in. So your answer to this kind of question is the highest level it can go.
Alright.
Yes? So every ordinal thing is nominal. Right? So for this, like, fair, good, aren't they names of how I felt about the place? But there's more. So names with order. Names with order that you can subtract. Names with order that you can subtract and also divide, and 0 means what's supposed to be. So it keeps adding an extra thing.
It's all about how you manipulate.
It's all about what you're allowed to do with the data. I'm like, is my phone still going?
Yeah.
It's a trooper, man.
I mean, I think so.
That poor phone. Oh, good point. Yeah, I'm getting used to it myself. It's like, why did I have to get bought by a math teacher? It's too bad. How are we all doing? You all right? Yes.
The question is like, how many people have black hair? Is that nominal?
All right, so my question would be for a group. How many people have black hair in the room?
Yeah.
So what are some possible answers? Let's say you have multiple rooms.
1%.
One people, I love it. One people. So one person, two people will sort. So then your possible answers are 0, 1, 2, 3, up to however many people, right? So what level data would that be then? If there were 4 people in this room, what 2 levels can I eliminate for that? How many people have
1 and 2.
black hair? I can eliminate these 2 because it's definitely numerical, right? You guys see how I love it. So this is a beautiful question. Eliminate these 2. Then how do you tell the difference here? Well, the first thing I go to is, does 0 make sense?
Yeah.
0 would mean
No.
the absence of black-haired people in that room, right? So there you go. You're done. Ratio. And that's how you explain it to me. I'm going to say What level is it and why? If you don't answer me the why, you're going to lose most of the points because that's the most important thing.
So how come, you know how there's the rule 0 means what it should for ratio? Why doesn't that apply for interval as well? Like, shouldn't that apply as well for if ratio?
I want this to make, so one thing up here was like 0 degrees, right? 0 degrees, I'll use Fahrenheit because we're used to Fahrenheit.
Okay.
The fact that 0, what's twice as hot as 0 degrees Fahrenheit? There is a temperature that I would say is twice as hot, but what's 2 times 0?
0.
0. You see what I mean? So, since 0 is in the wrong place, 0 is in the wrong place. Why? Because I can get colder. This isn't the absence of heat.
Okay.
So since 0 is in the wrong place, division isn't set up right. It doesn't work correctly. If I had like 0 people with black hair, what's twice as many? 0. But if I had 1 person with black hair, what's twice as many? 2. See, now it makes sense, right? But I wouldn't say, like I said earlier, I wouldn't say what's twice as hot as 60 degrees is 120. That doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it work? Because 0 is in the wrong place. That's why either one of these kind of leads you to the same conclusion. So, let's do an example. I'm sorry, do you have a question?
You said that it would be called. Never mind.
All right.
I realized the answer.
So,
yeah.
sorry, one more. So, I get why you say like 0 degrees Fahrenheit, twice as much heat as that wouldn't be 0. But for 60 degrees, I don't know, I'm having trouble understanding, like grasping it. Like 60
What would be,
degrees times
for you, what would be twice as hot as a 60-degree day? Would it have to get all the way to 120 to say, oh, now it's twice as hot? I'm not even talking mathematically, I'm talking subjectively here, right? What's twice as hot as a 60-degree day is not it doesn't have to go to 120 for it to be twice as hot. Are you with me? Or even if you don't like that, what's twice as hot as a 0-degree day? Not a 0-degree day. Something bigger than 0 would be twice as hot as a 0-degree day, but what's twice 0? 0. You can't get there because 0 is in the wrong place. Do you see? So this doesn't mean the absence of heat. So there's a certain amount of heat, so I can double that heat. But if I double it using the number, it doesn't work mathematically. Because I've got 0 in the wrong place. I've got it identifying the wrong area. But when I say, what about number of woodpeckers in a tree? What would I need to see for the answer to this? Well, does anybody know what the answer to this would be?
You have to see, like, woodpeckers. You have to see birds. You have to see birds? You have to see, like, individual birds?
Yes. So I'm going to each tree, and I'm going to count how many woodpeckers are in the tree. So can you figure out what level it is? And here's how you do it. What could there be in the tree? What can you eliminate first?
The first 2.
The first 2. How do you tell the difference here? I always go for 0. Does 0 mean what it's supposed to mean? So if I'm having people go out to a tree and Frank comes back and he's put this down, does that mean absence of woodpeckers?
Yeah.
Yes. There you go. It's ratio. Done. Or you could say, Tom saw 2, Frank saw 4, Frank saw twice as much. Right? Now I'm going to have people say it's interval, which is wrong, because they're going to say 4 minus 2 is 2, 2 more woodpeckers. But you see, that is true, but I can do more. Your answer always has to be the highest level. I like it. Maybe. Yes?
I'm still a little bit confused. So do you mind doing another example other than temperature? Because I think that's what's...
So what about...
Year you were born? Year you were born?
Yeah, we've already done that though. Let's say... Oh, all right. No, that's kind of gross too. Let's see. All right. Score in a golf course. That's kind of evil. That's kind of an evil one. Because can you get a 0? No, right? So 0 is impossible. 0 would still mean absence of hits, though, right? All right, I don't want to freak you out. Let me see. I've got a little handout that I made. Trying to figure out interval ones are kind of freaky. What about? Let's see. Yeah.
Could you do like the time of day?
Yeah, it gets weird. You talking about military time, or? You guys, everybody know what military time is?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where it doesn't, start over at 12. It's 1,300 hours, 14, 15, 16. So military time, what level would that be? So midnight would be what? 0. So that's the absence of the day going by. None of the day has gone by yet. Are you with me? So it's just like age then. It's the age of the day. Age is born at midnight. So it's 0 years old or 0 seconds old, whatever. You with me? So you could argue military time then, what's it sound like I'm arguing for? Ratio. Because 0 would mean absence of the day going by. None of the day has gone by yet. What is
exactly at midnight?
Yes.
But then once it's
yeah.
0, 0, 0,
Totally.
1,
But what does that have to
it would
do?
mean
Why
that
does that
there's 1 minute
change?
in the
Why does that
day.
change anything?
Because there's been 1 minute.
Age is ratio. Are you with me? What does 0 age mean? You were just born. You are 0 for an instant of time because immediately you start racking up time on Earth. You with me? Same way the clock would. So right at midnight, bung, it's 0. And then immediately it's more than 0. So what? 0 still means the absence of length of the day that's gone by. None of the day has gone by yet. So for 0 to make sense, it's got to be the absence of what I'm measuring. That's why 0 degrees Fahrenheit doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean. It's not the absence of heat. Right? I know for us Southern Californians it sounds like it's you get much colder than 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Because it can get colder.
Yes, and since we're measuring heat,
Yeah.
since I can lose more, 0's in the wrong place.
Okay.
It doesn't mean I've lost all the heat. We just
Yeah.
put it in the wrong place.
Okay.
Now we did that so we don't have to use weird ass numbers for every day temperatures. It's 300 degrees.
Yeah.
So that's military time. 0 means what it should. Right? And if it's 0800 hours versus 1600 hours,